5 zodiac signs that are unfaithful in relationships. Lies, temptation, double life. Some zodiac signs wear a mask of fidelity, but behind this mask hides a craving for freedom, secret connections and emotional play. This is not about a weakness of character, this is about an inner nature that cannot live by the rules of love alone. Their actions are a reflection of the energy with which they came into this world. Today I will name 5 signs that are more likely than others to feel cramped within the framework of one relationship. Their relationships are like a flame, bright, attractive, but capable of burning. They can love, they can be sincere, but loyalty is not their strong point. If you want to know who they are and not fall into the trap of charm, watch this video to the end. Subscribe to the channel if you want to understand not only others, but also yourself. And in the comments, write with which sign it was most difficult for you to build trust. We are starting, and the truth will be told. The first sign is Virgo. For a Virgo woman, cheating is not a flash of passion, but a carefully thought out step. Her infidelity is not born in the moment, but matures slowly, like a cold plan. She never does it without an internal justification. In her coordinate system, everything must be logical and justified, even if we are talking about betrayal. And this is where her danger lies. She is able to maintain external impeccability, while already playing a parallel game, calculated to the smallest detail. Virgo does not act impulsively. Before deciding on infidelity, she analyzes everything: risks, consequences, emotional security, benefits. She knows exactly who will be her object, and why this particular person. Her logic does not fail even in what others call feelings. She can be physically close to one, and mentally build a future with another. And this will not be a fantasy, but a scheme thought out to the smallest detail. Outwardly, she will be the same: punctual, collected, reserved. But her inner map may already lead along a different route. Her betrayal is not about the body, about the mind. If she decides to cheat, it means that inside she has already finished everything with her partner. She can live in a role for months, without showing it, just waiting for a convenient moment to move on to a new scenario. Without scandals, without drama, without a trace, she is a master of disguise. Even if she is caught, she will find an explanation that will disarm. Her composure and control make her one of the most difficult partners when it comes to betrayal. She will not get confused in words. She will not give a reason for reproaches. She will present everything as if it was a forced measure, and in the end she will not cause anger, but doubt in her own guilt. The most powerful weapon of Virgo is her rationality. She cheats not because of emotions, but because she believes that it is right. If she feels that her partner has lost respect, interest or stability, she will start looking for another. Someone who will give clarity, precision, support. And if she finds one, she will leave without even waiting for forgiveness. Her betrayal always has a continuation. She does not come back. She goes to where everything is already calculated and organized. The second sign is Aries. For Aries, betrayal is energy that has escaped control. The representative of this sign acts abruptly, impulsively, often without thinking about the consequences. For him, infidelity may not be a sign of dissatisfaction in the relationship, but a reaction to boredom, irritation, a challenge. This is not about feelings, it is about an internal need for movement. He can easily get carried away by emotions, succumb to the moment, and then explain it to himself as a test of freedom. It is difficult for Aries to hold attention on one person if the relationship has become predictable. He needs to feel excitement, fire, a desire to conquer. If the partner stops inspiring, does not give an emotional response, Aries will start looking for a source of fire elsewhere. And often, unconsciously, he does not plan to cheat. He just suddenly finds himself in the epicenter of the action and does not slow down. After cheating, he may feel guilty, but only if he was really attached. But even then, he will try to explain his behavior to himself with logic. It just happened, I didn't want to, I just wanted to feel alive. He rarely lies for long. More often, he gives himself away by accident. Or, on the contrary, he speaks honestly, because he considers the truth a worthy act. His cheating is not an intrigue. It is a flash. It can be a one-time thing, without continuation. But the consequences of it are always sharp, like everything with Aries. He will not hide his emotions if he is caught. He will not pretend. He will flare up, justify himself, break down. But he will return to the previous, only if he truly loves. Aries needs a partner who can keep the pace, provoke, surprise. If a routine begins in a relationship, he goes looking for adventure. His betrayal is a signal. He lacks fire. And if he does not get it nearby, he will ignite somewhere else. Not because he does not appreciate it, but because he does not know how to live without drive. The third sign is Gemini. The representative of this sign is a born master of double meanings, ambiguous looks and emotional maneuvers. He knows how to be attentive and caring, but at the same time he is able to conduct parallel relationships without showing the slightest sign of guilt. It is not about malice, but about his innate need for variety and intellectual stimulation. If the partner becomes predictable, if conversations are repeated, if emotions become monotonous, the Gemini begins to look for an alternative. He flirts not because he wants to hurt. It is important for him to feel interest in himself, admiration, freshness of contact. He needs communication that awakens his mind. And if this is not at home, he can easily enter into correspondence, have an affair, start communicating with someone new, while remaining in an official relationship. Geminis do not consider this a betrayal. For them it is salvation from boredom. Most often, betrayal in Gemini begins with communication. It is important for them to be listened to discuss books, ideas, plans. If an interlocutor appears who is able to inspire them, they switch emotionally. And after that, physical intimacy becomes simply a continuation of the intellectual connection. That is why Geminis are so easily drawn into new relationships, not because they are looking for passion, but because they crave to be heard and understood. Another feature is the ability to share emotions. A Gemini can love one person and at the same time feel attracted to another. He does not see a conflict in this. He is convinced that feelings are multifaceted, and limiting yourself to one source of joy means robbing yourself. This is what makes him a potentially unfaithful partner, especially if there is no freedom and emotional recharge in the relationship. A representative of this sign knows how to keep secrets. He can lead a parallel life, remaining outwardly devoted. He is in no hurry to confess, does not feel guilty about satisfying his emotional and intellectual needs outside the main relationship. If the partner does not notice the alarm signals, the twin can exist in a double reality for years. Nevertheless, the twin is capable of fidelity if his relationship is rich, lively, if there is humor, variety and mutual freedom in it. When he feels that he is accepted without restrictions, that he is listened to and his inner complexity is respected, he chooses to be there. But if he is driven into a framework, required to report and deprived of personal space, he begins to look for a way out. And most often this way out is in a new person. The fourth sign of Pisces. The representative of this sign has high emotional sensitivity and a deep need for love. But this is what makes him one of the most unstable partners when it comes to fidelity. He lives with feelings, moments, states. And if a crack appears in the current relationship, a lack of warmth, understanding, attention, he begins to reach out to someone who will give him a feeling of being needed. Pisces are not looking for passion. They are looking for spiritual closeness. But the trouble is that for them the line between a spiritual connection and a romantic one is very thin. A light compliment, a kind look, a sensitive attitude can cause a deep emotional attachment in a fish, which quickly develops into a hidden relationship. Even if physical intimacy does not occur immediately, the betrayal has already occurred inside. They tend to justify themselves by saying that everything happened by itself. Pisces do not make plans for cheating. They just get into the flow, succumb to emotion, dissolve in the situation. And then they cannot get out painlessly. They suffer, get confused, lie not because they want to deceive, but because they do not know how to keep everything under control. Their betrayal is an escape from pain, not a thirst for pleasure. Pisces can be gentle, attentive, sincere. They can cry next to a partner, and an hour later hug another. Their emotions do not fit into logical patterns. And if they lack romance, recognition, support, they begin to fantasize, create inner worlds in which another person already exists. And then they make this world reality. At the same time, the fish has a strong sense of guilt. After cheating, she can feel shame, disappointment in herself, try to fix everything, promise herself not to repeat it. But if the situation does not change, everything repeats itself. The fish is looking for love wherever it is not given. And even if the partner is nearby, but cold, the fish feels lonely. And alone, she is weak and easily falls under the influence of someone who will give her an emotional response. If the fish is given stability, warmth, the opportunity to talk about feelings, she remains faithful. But if her soul begins to suffer from emptiness, she leaves. Sometimes physically, sometimes just with her soul. And when her heart is already given to another, it is almost impossible to return everything back. Because a fish can forgive, but does not forget how it felt unnoticed. And it is from this unnoticedness that its betrayal is born. The fifth sign is Leo. Cheating for Leo is not about sex. It's about attention. A representative of this sign is deeply dependent on admiration. If a couple stops appreciating him, listening to him, inspiring him, he begins to feel insecure. And then he needs confirmation of his importance. He goes where he will be noticed, praised, raised to a pedestal. Even if it costs loyalty, Leo is able to maintain the image of an ideal partner for a long time. He carefully controls his reputation. But if he decides to cheat, it will be beautiful, carefully disguised, and, as a rule, with someone who gives him a sense of exclusivity. He chooses not for the sake of the body, but for the sake of reflecting his importance. His infidelity is not a protest, it is compensation. He knows how to be charming, convincing, seductive. And if he decides to cheat, he will create an atmosphere in which no one will guess. He does not do it on emotions, like Aries. He acts subtly. His main goal is to regain the feeling that he is a king. If the partner has stopped demonstrating this, he is looking for a new throne. Leo does not like scandals. He knows how to hide. He can be faithful outwardly, but cheat emotionally, flirt, test boundaries, feel interest. And then, cross the line. And if this happens, he will not admit it until he wants to. He will hide it because it is important for him to save face. And only if the relationship collapses, he may reveal the truth, but after the fact. For Leo, loyalty is not an instinct, but a decision. And if the partner gives him admiration, support, makes him the center, he will not leave. But if this is not the case, he will find those who will remind him who he is. His betrayal is a mirror. It reflects what he lacked next to him. And, as a rule, there is more pain in it than passion.